The Wall of Plenitude. An essay by Isaac Petrov about the economic singularity ahead of us, the moment when capital no longer needs labor, and humanity slams headfirst into a wall of infinite wealth. What waits on the other side? Star Trek utopia, or something far darker?
2 years ago, I put on paper some thoughts I've been having since my childhood. I wrote this piece, called Wall of Plenitude, where I tried to peek into a world that didn't exist yet. A world where anything and everything, good and terrible, is possible. Boy, has a lot happened in 2 years. I mean ChatGPT and the whole lot. Wow. Oh, yesterday I watched on TV impressive footage of some kung fu robots able to do their thing with kids around. I don't know about you, but that blew my mind. Usually the future takes its time. But not this time. So here is the Wall of Plenitude 2026. I hope I don't need to rewrite it in a while. But I doubt the future will hear my plea. Congratulations, you're rich, and getting exponentially richer. What, you don't believe me? Come on, take those blinds off. Forget the daily grim news cycle and take a macro look at our economic development as a species. Check this out. Picture a hockey stick graph of our production of stuff over time, flat for centuries, then an explosive vertical rise from the Industrial Revolution on. Still don't believe you're rich? Well then, just wait. Technology, which is the main driver of that explosive growth of human wealth, is not done progressing. Actually, we're pretty privileged to be alive right now. You can also be afraid, that's fine. I surely am. I remember when the PC came around in my childhood. And those first video game consoles. Wow. And every few years they got better. Today we can't go a month without a massive AI breakthrough that changes how we live. I'm a software engineer by day, and a handsome sci-fi author by night, and I can't remember the last time I wrote a line of code, and yet my software productivity has gone through the roof. When I wrote this piece 2 years ago, I said, soon true thinking machines and mechanical bodies to host them will be developed. Wow, talk about soon. Yeah. You see that graph there? That sweet exponential curve? Well, it's turning into a vertical line in, say, a couple of years? 5. 10 if you stretch it. That vertical line promises riches beyond our wildest dreams. As a species. Yeah, this lone short paragraph is intended as ominous. We're about to slam head-on against the wall of plenitude. And nobody knows what's lurking behind it. Or how many of us will be left. Definitely ominous. Nobody. Well, I happen to know a thing or two about science fiction, which actually offers a couple of answers to this very question. Would you like to take a peek over the fence of the economic singularity? Your favorite sci-fi author of all time is here to enlighten you with his mighty vision. Anybody knows where the tongue-in-cheek emoji is. But before we explore the imagined worlds of sci-fi, we gotta ask ourselves with more rigor. What the hell is the Wall of Plenitude? Glad you asked. Bear with me, please, because this is not for the faint of heart. I am about to delve into one of the most fascinating but unsung human sciences, economics. Your favorite sci-fi author has a master's degree, for what it is worth, which is not much. That's life, folks. All right, ready? Good. Let's do this.
What is your type? Labor or capital?
You are either a worker represented in economics as capital letter L, for labor, or a capitalist capital letter K, for capital in German, because they pretty much invented modern economics. If you're a worker, you, well, work, and get something done. In other words, you produce stuff. If you're a capitalist, you lucky bastard, then you own something that the worker needs to produce. Maybe land, tools, technology, factories. The list goes on. With me so far? Hang on there, because these two letters, L and K, will decide what happens to your job, your life, and your children's. To produce stuff you need a mix of both L and K. But this mix has been changing throughout history. Way back, and I mean mammoth back, there was only L. You work, you produce. But then we invented tools and private property, and before you know it, some people own the lands and animals that others use to produce stuff. A modest amount of K has just entered human history, but it won't get smaller. No, sir. With every innovation, capital grew slowly but surely. Mills, castles, steam engines, you get the picture. Always growing compared with labor. With the advent of industry, capital skyrocketed while labor, well, not so much. Factories produced more stuff than we ever dreamed possible with just a bunch of workers. Sounds bad. It certainly did so for a while back then to those workers. But eventually there was so much stuff produced that enough of it trickled down to them as salaries. Okay, you're asking. What's that part about getting richer? I don't feel richer. Quite the contrary. Yeah, sorry. Me neither. I know what you're thinking. If we produce so much, where's all the money? What's happening is simply that K is getting so good at producing stuff that it exponentially needs less and less L. As simple as that. But that isn't good, you say. What do I care about humanity getting richer if I'm worse off? Okay. Where to begin? Like most other sci-fi authors, I'm an optimist at heart, and I have a hopeful message for you. But I won't lie to you. No, I don't believe for a second that increasing riches will keep trickling down to us mere laborers much longer. That's over. It was a good run while it lasted, but with the advent of advanced AI, the amount of L per K will be so minute that most produced stuff will remain in the hands of the owners of K. When we complete the development of AI smart enough to replace any human at any job, L will be gone for good. Only K will be needed to produce stuff. What won't change is that there will still be a social abyss between the owners of K and the rest of us. Worse, an absolutely insurmountable abyss, now that L has become redundant. Nothing will trickle down. Nothing. Humanity will just have smashed itself against the wall of plenitude. And it will be gory.
Smashed against the wall.
Come on, Isaac. Surely there's a silver lining somewhere. You said you were an optimist. I am. And there is. But maybe not for you, or for me, or for our children. Or maybe there is. Even for us. It all depends on what's behind that wall of plenitude. What will happen when we smash it? Where will humanity end? Your guess is as good as mine, but I've thought about this and have come up with two opposing alternatives, both thoroughly explored at length in classic science fiction, both super advanced post-scarcity societies, but each very different from the other. See, we are talking sci-fi again. That's the beauty of our beloved genre. It deals with our direst fears and offers the wildest perspectives.
The Star Trek future.
The first glimpse behind the wall of plenitude comes from Star Trek, where after horrible fratricide wars, we discover faster-than-light warp drives, dramatized in the best movie of the series, in my opinion, First Contact, which forever free us to join an amazing galactic community of alien species. There's no scarcity in this universe, no need for money except where plot requires it. Ferengi, anybody? All economic needs are solved with replicators that materialize out of thin air whatever you ask for, like futuristic genies in the lamp. I'm a fan of Star Trek for many reasons, at least of the classic series up to Voyager and Deep Space Nine, including the amazing themes they explore and their escapism, both traits of good sci-fi. But the world building, realistic or not, is fascinating, says Spock, part of which derives from their idealistic post-scarcity utopia called the United Federation of Planets. Well, the optimist in me wants to believe here a nugget of wisdom from a man well in his 50s. Never trust what you want to believe, that a similar post-scarcity harmonious civilization awaits us all behind the wall. And there's reason to be hopeful. We will be richer than ever. Exponentially richer, as we reach out to the riches of the solar system. And if there's so much stuff, then we only need to figure out how to share it among us all. That can't be that hard, can it? Where was that damn tongue-in-cheek emoji again?
The Naked Sun future.
Okay, so much for optimism. Let's explore the shadows of another sci-fi universe of which I'm also a great fan. The master himself, Isaac Asimov. I remember studying for my economics exams by procrastinating with Asimov's Elijah Baley novels, a sort of space detective. I remember being fascinated with their world building, with the robot-powered spacers on one hand and a robotless Earth on the other. Spacers are relevant to my discussion. They are super advanced long-lived humans, each attended by armies of robots. Isaac Asimov, always the optimist, as most sci-fi authors, made the spacers culturally stagnant, unable to compete with the crazed energy of an Earth powered by the ambition of short-lived humans. There were many spacer societies, each on a different world, but they all shared similar traits. They were a sort of superhuman species, long-lived centuries, with super-advanced technology, including of course robots, or AI, as we would term it today. Their worlds were barely populated, each spacer owner of fully automated huge estates. I think there was even a planet owned by a single dude. Not sure. In any case, these were post-scarcity societies too, an eerie type of utopia, wouldn't you say? Way beyond the wall of plenitude. But with the distance and wisdom of age, I reflected on how a society could get there. A planet inhabited by a fistful of humans that barely interacted with each other, surrounded by robots doing it all. Well, unfortunately, you don't need the savage imagination of a genius sci-fi author to figure it out. Hey, I meant me, not Asimov. Now, could we get there? Is this a realistic endgame for humanity? Well, just a few days ago, Unitree humanoid robots performed synchronized kung fu alongside children at China's Spring Festival Gala. Violent, beautifully precise strikes, inches from a kid. And it's only early 2026. Dude, think about it for a minute. Or not, because you might pee yourself a wee bit. Picture Tiananmen Square, not with tanks facing students, but with 1,000 violence-ready robots facing who? In a society where the state owns all K and has armies of robots, what do you need people for? I mean, you could feed them, sure, but that's just a political choice. Sorry. Wiping off a few drops from my pants. There.
Who will be left?
Wow. Which of the outcomes is more likely, Isaac? I'd prefer Star Trek. Yeah, unless you own an AI company, or an entire country, I wouldn't think you'd prefer anything else. Which is more likely? That's the question, huh? The answer, I guess, depends on what you want to believe. But it's crucial to mistrust our own beliefs. It steers us from the truth. So what's the truth, Isaac? Enlighten me for God's sake. Okay. Fine. Anything for my fans. I've given this issue quite some thought in case you haven't realized yet. In my not-so-humble opinion, whether our future will look more like the Star Trek utopia or the spacer dystopia depends, actually, on where you live in this world of ours. More concretely, it depends on the type of government you live under. A society able to remake its economy for the new reality is surely not your average kleptocratic or tyrannical dictatorship. In strong democracies, power is ultimately exerted by the people, and people will demand change when their source of income dissipates forever. Politicians will hear these people, because of this other market ruled not by price signals and money, but by votes, a market that might even survive the shattering of the wall of plenitude. At least if the democracy in question is strong enough to resist the tremendous political pressure that the owners of K are sure to exert, and arguably I don't want to get into that, are already exerting in some prominent parts of the world. That's my light of sunshine right there. The silver lining. My optimistic opinion. If you live in a strong democracy, you might end up living in Star Trek. So start packing otherwise. Because if you live in a society of self-serving corrupt elites that funnel all resources to themselves and their cronies, what do you think they'll do when work disappears? Yeah, exactly. But my worst nightmare is a post-scarcity world where both models compete, the utopia and the dystopia, kind of like in Asimov's vision. Because which societies can compete better? Those that distribute their resources among a large population to fuel a utopian leisure civilization, or those with minimal populations that focus the entire state resources on total world domination? I, of course, want to believe what Asimov believed, that one of the models will become stagnant, and the other vibrant. But should I trust what I want to believe?
That was The Wall of Plenitude, an essay by Isaac Petrov.